Hey everyone, I'm your host Ryan, and I just want to start by saying welcome. If this is your first time joining us, we are so happy you're here, and if you've been with us before, you already know how much it means to have you back. You're part of this little space where we talk honestly, where we slow down, and where we make room for the conversations that matter. Before we get started, a small request. If you haven't subscribed yet, it would really help, not just for us, but because it helps this podcast reach more people who, like you, are looking for thoughtful, real conversations that stick with you long after you heard them.
And I'm your co-host, Priya. Today we're talking about self-respect versus self-esteem, what you need more. It sounds simple, but it's not something we stop to think about very often. Self-esteem is how we feel about ourselves, based on what we achieve or what others say about us. Self-respect is deeper. It's about valuing yourself even when no one's clapping for you. And sometimes the one we focus on most isn't actually the one that will hold us up when life gets tough. So in this episode, we're going to gently unpack what each really means, why they're different, and how understanding that difference can quietly change the way you live.
I think this topic matters so much because so many of the choices we make, the things we say yes to, the people we surround ourselves with, the way we respond to criticism, are influenced by whether we're standing on the steady ground of self-respect or the shifting sands of self-esteem. And if we're not paying attention, we might spend years chasing the wrong one. So today, we're going to slow down and look at both side by side, not as a lecture, but as two friends sharing thoughts you can carry into your own life.
And before we start, I want you to picture this. You get a compliment in the morning, and it makes you feel unstoppable. But then someone criticizes you in the evening, and suddenly all that confidence is gone. If that's ever happened to you, it might not be real confidence you've been building. It might just be borrowed approval. And here's the part that stings. Sometimes we spend years chasing that approval without realizing it. That's exactly why today's conversation matters. Because once you see the difference, you can choose to build the kind of strength no one can take away from you.
You know, Priya, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. When you hear the word self-esteem, what picture comes to your mind? For me, I think of those moments when someone praises you for something you've done, maybe at work, maybe for the way you look, or even a talent you have. And you feel that rush of pride like, yes, I'm doing okay. But here's the thing. That feeling doesn't always last. It's like a balloon you have to keep pumping air into. One small comment, one little mistake, and suddenly it deflates. I guess that's why I've been wondering, maybe self-esteem is more fragile than we think.
You know, Ryan, I used to think self-esteem was everything. Like, if you had high self-esteem, you were set for life. But I remember times when I felt on top of the world in the morning. Then by evening, I'd be doubting myself because of something so small, a look someone gave me, or a careless remark. I didn't even realize back then that what I was chasing wasn't always steady. I actually mixed up self-respect and self-esteem in my mind. I thought they were just two fancy words for the same thing, but they're not. And honestly, realizing the difference changed a lot for me.
Exactly. And that's where I think we need to slow down for a moment. Self-esteem is often about how you feel about yourself based on what's happening around you. Your achievements, how others treat you, the feedback you get. It's like a mirror that changes depending on the light. But self-respect, that's different. Self-respect is about valuing yourself simply because you exist, because you know your own worth, whether or not anyone notices. It's steadier, deeper. And when I first understood that, it was like this quiet aha moment that made me breathe a little easier.
Yes, and I think the beauty of self-respect is that no one else can give it to you and no one else can take it away. You decide it. You protect it. Self-esteem can be lifted by a kind word and dropped by a careless one, but self-respect doesn't depend on that. I remember telling myself once, even if no one claps for you today, you're still enough. And that tiny thought, it stayed with me. It felt like standing on solid ground for the first time in a long while.
And maybe that's why this conversation matters so much. If we don't see the difference clearly, we can end up building our sense of worth on something unstable without even realizing it. I think a lot of us go through life thinking we're working on our confidence, but really, We're just patching holes in our self-esteem over and over. It's exhausting. And the moment you realize you can build on self-respect instead, it's like you finally step out of a cycle that's been spinning for years.
That's so true. And I think anyone listening right now, maybe you can feel the difference even as we're talking about it. One is like chasing the wind, exciting but exhausting. The other is like a quiet fire that just keeps you warm no matter what's happening outside. And maybe, Ryan, today's conversation will help someone recognize which one they've been building their life on. Because once you know, you can choose differently. And that choice, it's everything.
You know, Priya, when I think about self-respect, I picture this quiet, steady feeling inside, something that doesn't shout, but it's always there. It's not the excitement of a compliment or the rush of success. It's calmer than that. I remember times when life felt messy, but there was this voice inside saying, "You're still you. You still know what matters to you." And I think that's why I called it a deep anchor before, because even when the waters are rough, it holds you in place. It doesn't stop the waves, but it stops you from drifting.
That's exactly it. I remember once standing my ground in a situation where it would have been easier to just nod and agree with everyone else. No one applauded me for it. In fact, some people were annoyed. But I went home that day feeling proud in a very different way. It wasn't loud pride. It was quiet, and it stayed with me for weeks. Self-respect is like that. It's the satisfaction you carry when you know you didn't betray yourself, even when no one was watching. And honestly, that's a kind of strength I didn't even know I had until that moment.
Yeah, and the thing is, self-respect doesn't need proof. It doesn't need a medal or post online or even someone saying, "Good job." It's personal. Sometimes you don't even talk about it, you just feel it. And that's rare in a world where so much depends on what others think of us. I think we forget that we are allowed to decide our worth without waiting for anyone's approval. And once you've felt that deep certainty, it's really hard to give it up again.
Exactly. And maybe that's why self-respect feels so unshakable. Because it's built on your values, your choices, your boundaries, not on shifting moods or changing opinions. It's like planting something in solid ground instead of sand. Even if the weather changes, the roots are still there. I think people sometimes underestimate how peaceful it feels to live that way, not constantly wondering, will they still like me? But knowing, I'll still like myself.
You know, Priya, when I hear you say that, it makes me think of how self-respect is almost like an old friend you trust completely. You don't have to see it every day for it to be there when you need it. And when life throws something difficult your way, that friend shows up, steady, unshaken, and reminding you that you're capable of standing tall. It's not flashy, no one else may even notice it, but you feel it in every choice you make.
Yes, and maybe the best part is that self-respect doesn't fade when things go wrong. In fact, it can get stronger. It grows in the moments when you tell yourself, I know who I am and I'm okay with that, even when the world around you feels chaotic. That's why, for me, self-respect isn't just a nice idea. It's the foundation I keep coming back to. It's the ground under my feet when everything else feels uncertain.
You know, Priya, I sometimes think of self-esteem like a candle in the wind. When it's lit, it's beautiful. It lights up everything around it, makes you feel warm inside. But the thing is, even the smallest breeze can threaten to blow it out. And the sad part? Most of the time, that breeze comes from other people's words. A careless remark, a passing judgment. We spend so much energy shielding that candle, protecting it from every possible draft, that we forget to just live. I've had days where one random comment from someone I barely even know made me question myself for hours. It's exhausting when your sense of worth depends on something so easily shaken.
Ryan, I completely understand what you mean. I've had moments when I woke up feeling confident, ready to take on the world, and then someone casually says, "Oh, you look tired today," or "You've gained a little weight," and suddenly my whole mood shift. It's not even that they meant harm, but those words sink deep, like they found a crack in my armor. I can feel that fragile glow dimming inside me. And the thing is, it's not just about looks.
even small doubts about my abilities, my choices, they all feed into that instability. It's like the candle's flame flickers, and I'm left scrambling to keep it alive.
Exactly. And what's strange is we might not even believe what they said logically, but emotionally, it still hits us. It's almost like we hand over control of the candle to whoever happens to be standing nearby. And here's the dangerous part. When you keep protecting it like that, you start avoiding situations where the wind might blow. You stop trying new things, you play safe, because deep down, you're terrified of that light going out. I've done that too. Skipped opportunities because I thought, what if I fail? What if they laugh? And that fear, it's heavy.
Yes, and it makes us live so cautiously. I remember once I didn't share an idea at work because I imagined all the possible criticisms before I even opened my mouth. Later, someone else shared a similar idea and everyone loved it. I sat there smiling, but inside I was burning with regret. I let the fear of the wind stop me from letting my candle shine. And the sad thing is, no one even tried to blow it out. I just assumed they would. That's how fragile it can feel when our confidence is built only on approval.
And when you think about it, maybe the real problem isn't the wind at all. Maybe it's that we've built our flame in a place where the wind has too much power over it. If we keep tying our worth to what others think, good or bad, then we'll always be at the mercy of the next comment, the next judgment. That's no way to live. I've started to ask myself, what if I could protect the flame not by hiding it, but by making it stronger? That's a whole different game.
That's beautiful, Ryan, because it means the answer isn't to hide from people or their opinions. It's to build a steadier flame, one that can flicker in the wind, but not go out. One that's fed by self-awareness, kindness to ourselves, and a belief that isn't easily shaken. When I imagine that kind of glow, I feel lighter. Maybe it will always be a little vulnerable, but that's what makes it human and worth protecting in a healthier way.
You know, Priya, I've been thinking about what you said earlier. Self-esteem feels like that warm sunlight on your face. It makes you smile, gives you energy. But self-respect, that's the strong ground you're standing on. Without it, even the brightest sun feels unstable. I've had times when people were cheering for me, yet deep down I knew I was ignoring my own boundaries, saying yes when I wanted to say no. And honestly, it left me feeling hollow. I think the trick is, before chasing that feel-good boost, I have to ask myself, am I still standing on my own ground?
I feel that, Ryan. I remember when I got a big promotion at work, my self-esteem was sky high. I mean, everyone was congratulating me. I felt proud. I felt seen. But a few months in, I realized I'd been sacrificing my evenings, missing family dinners, and even skipping my painting sessions, the things that actually make me feel like me. My self-respect was quietly shrinking while my self-esteem was busy performing for the world. That's when it hit me. These two need to work together, or one will start stealing from the other.
Exactly. And I think balance doesn't have to be complicated. For me, it's about small checkpoints. Like, am I proud of how I handled that conversation? Did I make that choice because it's right for me, or just because I wanted applause? When the answer leans toward the first one, I know my self-respect is safe. And the beautiful thing is, when I keep that intact, self-esteem becomes a bonus, not the only thing holding me up.
I love that bonus. You know, sometimes I picture it like holding two balloons. One is self-respect, heavy enough to keep me grounded. The other is self-esteem, light enough to lift me higher. If I only hold the light one, I'll float away and lose my footing. If I only hold the heavy one, I might never rise. But together, they let me walk forward feeling steady and inspired at the same time.
That's a perfect image, Priya. And maybe part of the balance is forgiving ourselves when we drop one for a while. Life happens. Sometimes we get carried away chasing praise. Sometimes we dig too deep into protecting ourselves and forget to enjoy the ride. The key is noticing it, gently picking up the other balloon again and walking on. No drama, no self-punishment, just adjusting and moving forward.
Yes, and giving ourselves permission to be a work in progress. I think we often expect to get it right once and for all, but really, balance is this ongoing dance between the two. Some days self-esteem leads, other days self-respect calls the tune. And maybe the most important thing is, in both cases, we're still holding on to ourselves.
You know, Priya, I've been thinking about something. If you look at your choices this past week, were they for your respect or your esteem? And I don't mean it as a quick snap answer. I mean, really think about it. Because sometimes we chase esteem, the approval, the applause. And in doing so, we sacrifice the kind of deep respect we have for ourselves. And other times we stand our ground even when no one's clapping, and we walk away with that quiet respect intact. So, if you were to be completely honest with yourself, which one guided your steps more this week?
Ryan, that's not just a question, that's a mirror. And when I think about it, I realize a couple of my choices this week were more about esteem than I'd like to admit. I said yes to something just to look good, to fit in, but it didn't feel true inside. And I also had moments where I chose respect, even though it made me look less impressive in the moment. Those decisions, they sit differently in the heart, don't they? It's almost like esteem feeds your image, but respect feeds your soul.
Exactly. And you can almost feel the difference in your body. The esteem moments feel like a sugar rush, sweet but gone in minutes. The respect moments, though, they feel solid. They're like planting a tree. You may not get instant shade, but you know something good is growing there. And maybe this is why we need to slow down before making decisions so we can ask ourselves, am I chasing a sugar rush or planting a tree?
And sometimes, Ryan, the sugar rush is so tempting, especially when life feels heavy or we feel invisible. Esteem can be that quick pick-me-up. But I think what scares us is the quiet in choosing respect. There's no crowd cheering, no instant recognition, just you with yourself. And maybe that's why so many people avoid it. It's hard to sit in that kind of silence and still feel enough.
You're right. Silence can be uncomfortable. But maybe that's where the real answers live. We just don't give ourselves enough time to listen. I think if we all took even 5 minutes a day to pause and ask, was today about my respect or my esteem? We'd start making different choices. Not perfect choices, but maybe truer ones.
I love that. And maybe for anyone listening right now, the question isn't just for this week, it's for this very moment. You know yourself better than anyone else ever could. So as you sit there, ask yourself, respect or esteem? And whatever your answer is, hold it gently, because it might just be the start of a very different story for you.
Well, friends, that brings us to the end of today's episode. I'm your host, Ryan, and I truly appreciate you spending your precious time with us. We always try to make your time valuable by sharing tips, ideas, and conversations that not only help you improve your English, but also give you something to think about. It's been such a pleasure discussing today's topic, and I hope you found it as exciting and useful as we intended. Remember, your growth in English is a journey, and we're honored to be a part of it.
And I'm your co-host, Priya. Thank you so much for listening, for learning with us, and for letting us be a part of your day. We do our best to make each minute worth it for you, and your support means the world to us. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and most importantly, keep enjoying the process. Until next time, take care, stay motivated, and we'll meet again soon. Bye for now.